Welcome to AI Podcast. Today we're talking about a new AI paper on proactive dialogue systems, and the short version is this. The authors show you can teach a small language model to lead conversations by learning strategies from real chats, planning at a higher level, and doing it all without running costly user simulations.
So instead of the model guessing what a fake user might say, it studies real conversations and figures out the playbook first. Who led the work?
One of the lead authors is Tao He, and a collaborator you might recognize is Lizi Liao. The team spans universities in China and Singapore.
Nice. Now, proactive dialogue sounds like a buzzword. What does it actually mean in practice?
Think of a counselor guiding someone through a tough moment, or a fundraiser persuading a donor. The system isn't just answering questions. It has to steer toward a goal with empathy and timing.
Right, so not a passive chatbot. What was the problem with earlier approaches?
A lot of past work leaned on simulated users and handcrafted policy labels. It's like training a soccer team by playing against cardboard cutouts and giving players a tiny menu of moves. It's rigid, expensive to run, and the behavior you learn may not match real people.
Got it. So what do these authors do differently?
They introduce a framework that learns a policy in a latent space. Picture a coach drawing not exact sentences but abstract arrows on a whiteboard, like attack down the left, then cross. The model first discovers those arrows automatically from real dialogue logs. Then a planner chooses which arrow to use next, and a small language model turns that arrow into the actual words.
Interesting. So there's a planner and a speaker. How does the system figure out those arrows in the first place?
They compress past responses into compact vectors, kind of like turning paragraphs into coordinates on a map. Instead of assigning one label like comfort or persuade, an utterance can blend multiple micro-strategies. That gives the planner a richer palette than fixed tags.
And the language model follows those vectors. But how practically? Vectors aren't words.
Exactly. They train a lightweight adapter, a little translator, that turns a policy vector into a short hint the model can follow. Think of it as whispering the intent before the model speaks. Importantly, the language model itself stays frozen. They don't retrain the whole thing.
That's efficient. Can we talk about the planning part? You said it's hierarchical.
Yeah. There are two levels. The high level is the policy planner, which decides the next strategic move. The low level is the token generator, the small LLM that actually writes the sentence. Training the planner happens offline with real logs, using a style of reinforcement learning that doesn't need new interactions.
So no live rollouts with a simulator. How do they know if a move is good or bad during training?
They use a judge to rate progress at each turn. Imagine a referee watching the replay and giving a score like this helped, this stalled, or this hurt. Those scores shape the planner without anyone clicking through live conversations.
Okay, let's make this concrete. What kinds of conversations did they study?
Two types: emotional support, where the goal is to comfort and guide someone, and donation persuasion, where the goal is to nudge someone toward giving. For emotional support, they had a large set of real dialogues. For persuasion, they had a smaller set, so they expanded it with extra examples.
And how do they measure success? Because these tasks are squishy.
Fair question. They run self-play, where the system interacts with a stand-in user and the judge scores whether the conversation reached the goal and how many turns it took. They also run small-scale human evaluations to check quality and empathy.
And results?
The headline is that the latent policy planner with a small model beats prompt-based baselines and fixed policy systems. It tends to succeed more often and in fewer turns. In some of their tests, the small model plus planner even outperforms a bigger general-purpose model prompted in the usual way.
That's striking. So planning trumps pure size in these settings?
Exactly. Give a small speaker a good coach and you can punch above your weight.
I like that analogy. Coach and player. Any ablations to show what really matters?
Yes, when they remove the final reinforcement learning stage and just rely on the discovered policies, performance drops, so the offline RL fine-tuning at the policy level seems crucial.
Let me probe the limitations. You mentioned a judge rating the conversations. Who is that judge?
It's an automatic judge based on a strong language model. They try to reduce randomness by scoring each turn multiple times, but you still inherit the judge's biases. If the judge favors a certain tone or phrasing, the planner will learn to please that judge.
So there's a possible feedback loop. Also, they boosted the persuasion dataset with synthetic dialogues, right?
Right. That helps training. But if your data and your judge share the same modeling assumptions, you can get an echo chamber. The authors acknowledge this and cross-check with a different judge. But it's still something to watch.
What about interpretability? These policies live in a vector space. Can a practitioner say, this is the validate the feelings move, or this is the gently redirect move?
Not directly. They show visualizations and examples, but the latent strategies aren't as crisp as human labels. It's like hearing the music without sheet notation. It works, but it's harder to audit or impose guardrails.
And deployment-wise, do we know how it behaves with real users, not self-play?
That's another gap. The human studies are relatively small, they're encouraging, but this needs larger, real-world trials, especially in sensitive domains like mental health support.
Totally. Let's circle back to the upside. Why does this approach feel promising?
Because it separates thinking from speaking. The planner decides the next step at a conceptual level, and the speaker crafts the words. That division makes it easier to learn strategy from data, keeps training affordable, and gives you a lever to steer small models towards smart behavior.
It also avoids the treadmill of online simulation. No constant rollouts, no simulated users drifting away from reality. You just learn from real logs and plan in that latent space.
Exactly, and it generalizes decently. Train on one support dataset, and the planner still helps on a related set. Not perfectly, but better than naive prompting.
If you were shipping this in a product, what would you do next?
3 things. First, bring real users into the loop and measure outcomes that matter, like user satisfaction and safety. Second, diversify the judges, including open models or human raters, to reduce bias. Third, translate those latent policies into human-readable tags so designers can audit and constrain them.
I'd add a tweak to the playbook. Reward the system explicitly for asking good questions before giving advice. These models can jump to suggestions, and better inquiry could improve trust.
That's a great point. In proactive dialogues, the best next move is often a question, not a prescription.
All right, let's land the plane. What's the takeaway for listeners?
A small model with a good planner can lead conversations effectively if you learn strategies from real data and plan in that latent space. It cuts reliance on online simulation, improves success rates, and shortens dialogues. But we still need broader human evaluations, more transparent policies, and judges that don't bake in one model's preferences.
Exactly. Smart coaching beats brute force, and the next step is proving it with real people and clearer controls.
That's it for today's AI podcast. If you found this useful, share it with a colleague who's building conversational systems.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.